Okay, Granit Xhaka and Shaqiri, two of the Swiss players of Albanian descent, are in a bit of hot water over their goal celebrations versus Serbia last night. They scored both the Swiss goals in the second half, and of course the Yugoslav wars. I am going to be starting up a second channel, the History Boffin channel, and I will discuss the Yugoslav wars on that. But at the moment, we're not setting up that channel just yet. We're going to focus on this World Cup a little bit. But their celebrations were the double-headed eagle celebration, where they cross your arms over like that. That's what they did. That is seen as an inflammatory gesture towards not just Serbians, but there are the other ethnicities in the former Yugoslavia that may or may not be, like the Montenegrins as well, and maybe Macedonians, due to the Kosovo conflict. Because Macedonia have also been involved in the Kosovo conflict. Now, Montenegro and Macedonia aren't at this World Cup, but Croatia, a former Yugoslav state, is, and you've got Switzerland with about half their team are of, well, a good proportion of their team starting lineup are of ethnic Albanian origin. There's about 5 or 6 in the side who are of ethnic Albanian origin, if not more. Xhaka, Granit Xhaka, and Shaqiri are 2 of them. I wouldn't be surprised if FIFA decide to sanction the players, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Serbian FA lodges a complaint. Now, the Serbian FA is not the most popular FA within the FIFA organisation because of some of their fans misbehaving in the past. But this was clearly designed to provoke both the players and the fans, and I think there were Serbian officials at the game as well. That's designed to provoke them. It's not the Serbian players' fault that the Yugoslav wars happened. It is down to rampant nationalism between all the national groups in Yugoslavia, and also Serbian nationalism and Serbian expansion. That was a political thing 25, 30 years ago that these players, most of them weren't even alive when Slobodan Milosevic was in charge of Serbia. Um, it's a part of European history that we should hang our heads in shame that we allowed to happen. But it did happen. I've been to the former Yugoslavia. I've been to Slovenia. I've been to Croatia. I've been down the Dalmatian coast. I've seen um, memorials put up to not just those who were, taken away and shot by the various militia groups that were going around, paramilitaries, but those who went off to fight for, be it Croatia or Serbia, who never came home. And that hits home. That's happened in my lifetime. I understand why Granit Xhaka and Shaqiri have celebrated the way they have. I get that to a point. However, you've got to also remember that Croatia are also in this World Cup. They, in theory, could play Serbia in a knockout stage because the way the groups line up, they could meet. If Serbia and Croatia go far in the tournament, which is very likely, they're both very strong sides, and Croatia are top of their group, so they are into the knockout stages. In theory, Serbia and Croatia could meet in a hypothetical knockout stage later on, maybe a quarterfinal or a semi-final or even a final, depending on how the draw goes and how teams get out of the group. They could meet. The Swiss could also meet the Serbs again, depending on how the draw goes, because they could also meet in the final. So, because these teams aren't officially knocked out yet, they could meet again in the later stages. I can see FIFA sanctioning the 2 players over the celebrations and possibly fining the Swiss Federation for their players' political celebration, because it is a political-based celebration. I also can see the Serbian FA lodging a complaint. The issue is, and it's to do with the history of the politics and the history of the Balkan region. There's still a lot of tensions in the region between nations, and this is to do with the aftermath of the breakup of the former Yugoslavia and also the formation of the former Yugoslavia. This goes back to pre-World War One. There's been tensions. There's been Balkan wars just before World War One, and it carried 100 years of conflict. They fought to overthrow the Ottoman Turks and clear the Ottoman Turks out of the rest of the Balkans, and then they fought each other, and then they were unified after World War One in the guise of what became the Kingdom of Yugoslavia, that became the Communist Republic of Yugoslavia, that was ruled by Marshal Tito. He was a Croat. The breakup was caused with various internal tensions between the various national groups. After the breakup started, the Serbs became the dominant group in what was left of Yugoslavia, and they wanted to control it. This is the history background. There was some brutal massacres by all sides, some brutal war crimes by all sides, not just perpetrated by the Serbs, but by Kosovan Albanians, Montenegrins, Croats, Bosniaks. Even a few Slovenes shot a few prisoners as well in their 10-day war. Macedonians. They have all committed atrocities under various guises, under various paramilitaries. There are still tensions to this day. Even though the area is officially at peace, there are still tensions between various groups, political and national. What has happened here is inflamed that unnecessarily. I can understand why the players, because they've had to flee Kosovo, they are technically, as kids, they were forced to flee Kosovo about 20 years ago, and they've been brought up abroad. They now represent Switzerland because that's where their families decided to settle. Other ethnic Albanians from Kosovo and Serbia ended up in Albania. So that's why Granit Xhaka's brother plays for Albania. It's a complex thing. I'm not condoning their behaviour. It is wrong. But at the same time, I understand why they have done it. I can also understand why FIFA want to probably sanction them because so far there's been no crowd disorder. There could have been some last night. The fact that Croatia were also still in the tournament and they could meet Serbia as well, there could be tensions there, and that could be, if that game were to happen, a very big flashpoint. This is not the last we'll hear of this. There will be further discussion points over those two goal celebrations in the second half. I understand why it's offensive to Serbians. Many Serbians also died and were displaced during the breakup of Yugoslavia. Many ethnic Albanians from Kosovo were displaced. Many Bosniaks were displaced. Many Croats were displaced. A few Slovenians. It is a brutal conflict that lasted the better part of a decade in the formative years of my life. And I have been to the Balkans. I have been to Croatia and Slovenia. Beautiful country, beautiful people, tragic history. It's a sad history. It's a history. The breakup of Yugoslavia could have been done peaceably, and it wasn't. It was a brutal, brutal, brutal conflict. And these celebrations are an aftermath of some of the anger and hate that is still there, that hasn't gone away between the various national ethnic groups that made up the former Yugoslavia. But anyway, I'm going to leave that there before I do after one. I can understand why the players done it. I don't condone it. I'm actually against their celebration. I think it is inflammatory because it's not the Serbian players' fault that politically their country was involved in a brutal conflict that lasted the better part of a decade. And, you know, there are those young Serbians who do want to repair bridges. And then many Serbian fans are out in Russia. And the Russians have a strong link with the former Yugoslavia and Serbia especially, a historical link. And that could be seen as an offence to the Russians as well. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. It's a bit longer than normal, this video, because there's a fair bit non-sporting to talk about. Hence why I'm starting up a new channel soon called The History Boffin. That will be coming online in a few days' time, maybe a week's time, where I will discuss issues like this on a historical context and what it means for us today. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your comments below, and I'll have some more videos on the World Cup and other sporting stories later on today. So thank you very much, and I'll see you all soon.